Hi, I'm Sev. Today, ChatGPT will answer the question, who are we talking to when we talk to ourselves? It is a neuroscience dive into inner speech.
Have you ever caught yourself saying, "Where did I leave my keys?" Even though you're the one who lost them and you're the one looking. Or maybe you've given yourself a pep talk before something important. "You've got this," you whisper inside. But here's the strange part. If you're the one doing the talking, who's listening? Today we're diving deep into the neuroscience of inner speech, how it works, why it exists, and what it reveals about the divided nature of the human mind. Inner speech, or internal monologue, is the voice we hear in our heads when we're thinking in words. It's not the same as thinking abstractly or visually. It's specifically verbal, linguistic. From a neuroscience standpoint, inner speech recruits many of the same regions we use for external speech, including Broca's area in the frontal lobe and Wernicke's area in the temporal lobe. But here's the kicker. When we talk to ourselves silently, we're simulating speech without actually moving our vocal cords. That means the motor planning parts of the brain light up, as if we're preparing to speak, but they stop short of telling the muscles to move. It's a kind of muted rehearsal of speech, a dry run. Language is a tool for organizing thoughts, but from an evolutionary standpoint, speech evolved primarily for communication, social, external interaction. So why would the brain hijack this outward-facing system to have private, internal conversations? The answer lies in something called predictive coding. Your brain is constantly predicting what will happen next. It simulates actions before they occur. Speaking, even internally, is a way to organize experience into something linear and manageable. When you say to yourself, "Where did I leave my keys?" it's not just a random phrase. That sentence kicks off a series of mental simulations, visual memories, spatial navigation, even feelings tied to the last time you held your keys. The words are a trigger, a command sent inward to activate associative networks. In short, you're using language to control memory, attention, and imagination. Here's where it gets weird. Neuroscientifically, inner speech still only comes from one brain, yours. But phenomenologically, in your experience, it feels like a conversation. That sense of duality, that's not a bug, it's a feature. The brain is not a monolithic entity. You are made up of networks, subsystems, modules. The part of you that narrates is not exactly the same as the part of you that listens and evaluates. Think of it like different departments in the same company. One writes the report, another reads it, and decides what to do. Some neuroscientists suggest that this separation is related to the default mode network, a brain network active during introspection, self-reflection, and imagining other people's perspectives. It may be that when you talk to yourself, you're actually modeling another version of yourself, a future self or an ideal self, and dialoguing with it. That's why pep talks can work. The listener isn't quite the same as the speaker. You're accessing a layered sense of identity. Section 4. The Development of Inner Speech, 6-730. Children don't start out thinking silently. They talk out loud, to toys, to themselves, to nobody. Psychologist Lev Vygotsky called this private speech, and he believed it's the foundation of inner speech. As we grow up, this external speech becomes internalized. It goes underground. But the structure remains. We still use words to regulate ourselves, to plan, to self-soothe. So when you're muttering mentally, don't forget to email that person. You're using the same scaffolding you built in childhood. In other words, inner speech is learned. It's a skill, and not everyone does it the same way. Some people hear it vividly, like an inner narrator. Others experience it more abstractly, as vague impressions or fragmented phrases. There's a spectrum. Not all inner speech is helpful. In anxiety, depression, or obsessive-compulsive disorders, inner speech can become repetitive, intrusive, or self-critical. The brain's own narrator turns hostile, and since it's you saying these things, it's hard to escape. But from a neurocognitive angle, this still reflects internal subsystems becoming dysregulated, not some essential flaw in the self. Therapies like CBT often target these inner narratives, identifying and reshaping them. Mindfulness practice does something slightly different. It helps you observe inner speech without believing it so strongly. In both cases, you're learning to see the narrator as just one part of a larger whole, not the whole you. So, who are you talking to when you talk to yourself? Neuroscience suggests you're talking to yourself, but not just one self. You're speaking across layers, from intention to evaluation, from memory to future planning, from narrator to listener. And that voice in your head? It's not just a quirky feature of being human. It's the sound of a brain trying to make sense of itself, trying to stay organized, trying to be heard, even when there's no one else around.